Hi, welcome to Times of India. You're watching Elections with TOI. Now, today we are going to be talking about Sam Pitroda and the self goal, which is what many people are calling it, that he has scored for the Congress party ahead of elections. In 2019, it was his famous "Hua to Hua" remark, and now this time it's about the inheritance tax comment. Now, BJP has yet again found an opportunity, pounced on it, and is making hay this election season on this latest comment from Sam Pitroda on inheritance tax. Sorry. So joining me today are political commentators Sandeep Ghosh and Sanjay Jha, and I want to start with Sanjay. Sanjay, you have been living in Mumbai for the longest time, a city which prides itself. Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah. A city that prides itself on meritocracy, on whatever. And here we have somebody coming in and making a statement about inheritance tax being implemented in India. He's not said that we are doing it, but he's talked about the possibility and that we should talk about it. Why on earth are we alienating? Is the Congress party alienating perhaps the middle class voter?
Aditi, let me answer you in short. Number one, when the Prime Minister of India calls a Congress manifesto a Muslim League document, it means the Congress party is doing something really right. Because there is none of the pages have anything to do with Muslim or communal, etc. And today the Prime Minister is accused of hate speech. We'll have to wait and see what the Election Commission or the Supreme Court take action on that. But technically, he could actually be disqualified if proven to violate the Model Code of Conduct and the Representation of People Act. Let me answer your question on Sam Pitroda's comment. Sam is a senior and also happens to be a dear friend. Here is the point that inequality, is it a reality in India? Absolutely. You read the latest report, Aditi, the level of inequality since Narendra Modi became prime minister is worse than it was during the British Raj. 1% of Indians have 22% of the aggregate income or the national income and over 40% of national wealth. I mean, you seen what happened in the electoral bonds, where the government is actually giving deals left, right, and center to its cronies. Coming to Sam Pitroda's comment on the inheritance tax, what has he said? He said, this is what is happening in the United States. So let me apprise you of what the BJP stance on inheritance tax is. When Jayant Sinha was the Minister of State for Finance in 2014, and not just a BJP MP, he said this government is going to seriously consider inheritance tax. Arun Jaitley hinted at the same in 2018. In fact, members of the government have talked about including it in the budget, in the 2019 budget. I mean, what are we really talking about? And here is the other truth that the BJP does not know, that Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi scrapped the estate duty of the inheritance tax in 1985. So the Congress has walked the talk. These are academic conversations. But it tells me that the BJP is very rattled by the Congress manifesto because it addresses the issue of unemployment allowance. It addresses the issue of farmers in Manrega and wages. It talks about a minimum wage for the country at rupees 400. It talks about empowering women with rupees 1 lakh per year. And at the end of the day, it is addressing the fundamental issues of unemployment, inflation, joblessness, and more importantly, creating a better social and economic equity. What is wrong with that?
Right. So better social and economic equity is not something that is just the prerogative of the Congress manifesto. It's also there in the BJP manifesto, talking about promises, talking about deliveries. Let me bring in Sandeep Ghosh on this. And Sandeep, I want to talk to you about the example that Sanjay has given about Jayant Sinha also having said the same thing. They didn't implement it, but he talked about it. And that's something that Jairam Ramesh, I think, also tweeted
Yeah,
this afternoon.
yeah, yeah.
Sandeep?
We can go back to the past. Rajiv Gandhi abolished estate duty, but Even Mr. Chidambaram talked about bringing in inheritance tax in 2012 and during the UPA regime. So that was quoted. Now, whether Mr. Chidambaram brought it or didn't bring it, or Jensina said, and Jensina is now totally out in the wilderness, that's a different story. So I'm not really bothered about that. Since I appear very often, I have the fortune of appearing with Sanjay. I was one of those persons who was beginning to get converted towards voting for Congress, and trying to really look at the merits as to why did I. But now I'm a bit confused. Hearing Sanjay, it seems even he supports the inheritance tax issues. And I, as Mr. Pitroda, is somebody I've always taken very seriously, because he is not just any, Sanjay is what he's an expelled spokesperson. Mr. Pitroda is not an expelled spokesperson of Congress. He is the chairman of the International Overseas Congress. So he holds some kind of an official position. He mentors and chaperones Rahul Gandhi all over the world to various fora, and he also articulates that Mr. Gandhi's thinking and what they do. So I don't consider him to be a nobody. Only a few days back, both he and Mr. Jairam Ramesh posted pictures of them at their younger days when they were advisors to Rajiv Gandhi. So he is somebody I take very seriously, and he is credited to have brought in the telecom revolution and the rest of it. Now, I get very confused when, as soon as he has said that in the morning, Mr. Jairam Ramesh distances and disowns him. Now, Sanjay seemed to be supporting him, saying that yes, there is inequality, so what's the big deal? See, BJP getting rattled is a second thing. That's for BJP. That's BJP's problem. BJP has the habit of getting rattled. Now, their theory may be, only the paranoid survive, and that's why, because they get rattled, I suppose, every time they get rattled. 2019 they got rattled. They got rattled before the assembly elections, thought they were losing, but ultimately, whatever happens, happens. Hua to hua. But what is really the Congress's stand? One hand is we are quoting the manifesto, but then I have heard Mr. Gandhi talking somewhere, khatakat, khatakat, khatakat. That I've only heard, once upon a time, table tennis used to be called le takatak de takatak. Uske baad, this time I said, khatakat, 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 I will distribute the money. To whom will the money go? Whether I'm going to get some money. I'm also, to some extent underprivileged. Bengalis are considered, if you didn't know, OBCs in many states. We are officially classified as OBC. So what is really the Congress's stand, on this matter? As a voter, I would like to know. I am confused. Do I really think that, some of the khatakat was going to also come to me? Or whatever little savings, I've got a single daughter. I was thinking I put aside some nest egg for her. Now, whether she's going to get that or not get that, these are all worrisome factors. If somebody else spoke about it, even Digvijay Singh, I don't take him very seriously, or Manishankar Iyer, he also says something. But Mr. Pitroda is somebody who has a lot of influence. And even before this, he has said, the Nyaya scheme, which was talked about in 2019, and it was, the idea was floated by a childhood friend of mine. One of the few people I can call a friend. We grew up together. We were in Boy Scouts together. Abhijit Banerjee. Abhijit talked also of increasing the taxation levels, and Mr. Pitroda had said then and quoted recently also, wow, don't be selfish. What's there if you're paying a little more taxes? Today he's saying this, and do I discount him totally? That's the question I think the nation wants to know, especially people like me who were card-carrying members of BJP or RSS, who were one of those people who were on the borderline, who shifted towards BJP. Now, we may be inclined to go back. Not everything BJP is doing right or we support. Now, what's the message for me?
And I want to come to you with that, Sanjay. I think, and he's asking it of you, but let me just qualify this. There are a lot of fence sitters. Sandeep said he was also contemplating shifting his vote to the Congress this time around. But there are other middle class fence sitters who probably would have been thinking of Congress, but these kind of irresponsible statements make them just take a step
Okay,
back. And I started my question. I started my conversation with this, with one question from you, that you come from a city of Bombay, which relies on merit, which sort
Mhm.
of is meritocracy in a lot of ways. Do you agree? Because you started out saying that there is a lot of inequality and inequality is increased under Modi. Do you do you think that an inheritance tax should be brought in?
Aditya, I'd just like to
Aditi,
add, lest I sounded facetious, I live in Calcutta, and where I may not vote for Congress, there may not be a candidate, but I could well be voting for Trinamool, which is part of the India alliance. Now,
Fair point.
voting for Trinamool might get Congress into power. Then I'm worried because when Rahul Gandhi promises these things, when he talks on behalf of everybody when my government is going to come. So this is serious concern.
um, I think this is a serious topic that requires us to be, a little more reasonable and intelligent as opposed to being. I'm not going to be theatrical and indulge in rhetoric here, but so let's look at the reality of what we are talking. Number one, I'm just astonished that somebody who, even if he's more right wing supporting, but I do believe that Sandeep is a liberal. I mean, to say that a guy sitting in Chicago who, by the way, ushered in the telecom revolution in India, if he has a view, whether we agree, disagree, doesn't even matter. I can tell you, Sandeep, where you and I are very different. When Jayant Sinha was the finance minister of, or rather, minister of finance under the Modi government, I was the official spokesperson of the party. But I would not hang him from the tallest tree by the thinnest thread, saying that he sold his soul because Jayant Sinha articulated an opinion saying that we should consider inheritance. That's a view. I mean, how can you appear? You have changed, Sandeep. You are like somebody who seems to suggest कि यार कुछ मत बोलो यार. Because if you say this, I'm going to tell you that you know something. You have a very ulterior and sinister motive. You don't sound like a BJP spokesperson here. We are having a very, what I call as a very animated but a controlled conversation on issues. Number one, number one, I respect Sam Pitroda and I don't care what other people say. I respect his freedom to articulate an opinion on income and wealth inequality that you have to be blind or you have to be ignorant to ignore. Aditi, you and me, by the way, are a very privileged elite of this country. We are English speaking people who order on Swiggy, can afford to go and eat a fancy meal and not worry about where the check is going to be paid from. So
So, but I
let's calm
still
down
want,
a
but
little
I
bit
still
here.
want, but I still want my dad's
Yeah,
house,
so let me speak.
house to come
So
to
Aditi,
me.
Aditi, let me speak here. Let me speak here. It should worry us, right? It should worry us that the people at the bottom of the pyramid are not part of the India story, unless Sandeep believes that only we should be the beneficiaries of India's GDP growth story. That 70% of India needs to stay backward and we are okay. I'm sorry, in politics, you don't do that. I think the fundamental issue, Aditi, is this, that we need multiple ways to actually kind of have a brainstorming amongst thinkers and politicians and anybody else to come at an idea. Now, let me tell you the truth. The Congress's policies of Manrega, Food Security Act, direct benefits transfer, these have all ended up eventually empowering the poor. And that is a redistribution. By the way, the BJP clearly doesn't understand economics well. They are doing redistribution. What is PM Kisan? What is giving so much of money which is allocated for 56% of people in India who get free rations? That is redistribution.
Fair point.
I
No,
mean, what
I'm
are we
that's
talking
exactly
about
what
here,
I'm
for
saying.
God's
They have
sake?
already. That's exactly what I said, and I think
Yeah.
it's for me. Let me bring in Sandeep to respond to that because I think you directly sort of asked this question of Sandeep. Sandeep, so BJP does the same thing, and Congress wants to do the same thing, but inheritance tax is very different from what the BJP does, which are welfare handouts.
And,
So
And Aditi, if I may add, Jairam Ramesh has already stated that we are not implementing the inheritance tax. So, I mean, really, what are we talking about? It's already
listen,
stated officially.
Now, first of all, I don't know whom to take seriously, Jairam Ramesh or his mentor, Sam Pitroda. The problem in Congress has always been Congress's policies have been guided by people, including Jairam Ramesh, and with due respect to him, what is Jairam Ramesh's standing electorally? He's never won an election in his life. He's only been in the back room and advice. He's not. If another politician was saying that, a senior politician, Mr. Khadge, was saying something, one could have understood. But the problem with Congress has been Rajiv Gandhi's time. It was this bunch of cronies who dictated policy, dictated things. We know in the UPA period, it was the NSC, which had all unelected people, people who were Jolawalas and people who were activists. They dictated policy. And today you have somebody sitting in America who is not even a resident Indian giving his opinion. And we know his opinion is not, he is not a nobody. He's not he's not Uncle Sam sitting there. He has weight and he has the years of what the most powerful person in Congress. As I said, I could have discounted a Manishankar Iyer and Digvijay Singh. If somebody tells me today, no, Sam Pitroda is a persona non grata, I don't think that's correct to say. So we would like to know, okay, BJP doesn't understand economics. It's just a matter of coincidence that the economy has done very well over here. But what is the Congress's idea? If Congress is saying now that there is going to be, we will do a census of people's wealth and then decide how much wealth has got to be transferred from A to B. That is very, very different from the taxation which you are collecting. Taxation is collected by any government for ultimately working for the people, and how that tax is being distributed is a matter that is a matter of a policy decision which the government does in an open and transparent manner. Now, for me, progress in life is, or everybody is not ordering food on Swiggy. The person living in the village doesn't want to order food on Swiggy, but they want food security. And if they're getting food security so that they can then focus on other things in life, which are more value adding, then that is progress. Progress doesn't have to be measured by everybody, whether they're wearing Gucci t-shirts or, Gucci shoes and Guess t-shirts or anything of that kind. These people today, what is the level of aspiration of people living in the villages? It is very different, and for them that is progress. That is the sign of progress. That's why people, young girls today are not interested in those cycles and dolls. They are interested in what job opportunities they'll get, how they will get empowered. So those are the points. As I was telling you, it's a genuine case. I have a single daughter. I'm a one-child parent. I have been working all my life, to put in a nest egg. And that, if I today have to worry as to, and I may be having some wherewithal, as somebody said, I could be finding ways around it by forming a trust, forming a company, making her the beneficiary. But what does a common person do? You set aside some money for the daughter's marriage, this thing, etc., and then suddenly you disappear. And if somebody, it's a genuine concern.
Let me ask you, Sandeep, let me just sorry to interject, but Sam Pitroda has himself come out and clarified that I didn't say this. He didn't say that it's going to be done. He's saying that the BJP has just got themselves into a tizzy. Who said and I'm reading out his tweet. Who said 55% will be taken away? Who said something like this should be done in India? Why is BJP and media in panic? Do you think that the BJP is in panic and therefore they are taking this one thing that he said, which was academically said and was not something?
As I said, I'm not bothered about BJP being in panic. I am bothered about what people like me today, when I was having lunch in my cafeteria with people, what is the reaction of those people? Because there is a whole lot of things, including Sanjay's good friend, and our common friend Tehseen Poonawalla constantly uses this term. Today, Congress is surrounded by a bunch of left loonies. There's a whole lot of things which Congress has been talking about in the thing. It's people like Yogendra Yadav who seem to be the ones calling the shots. It's a series of things where there is a signal clearly being given of this kind of, populism and going retrograde, Luddite kind of philosophy. And this forms a part of a series. If this was just an isolated comment, Aditi, it was different. But there are so many things being said over the course of the last year or more, and which are also in direct contradiction to things. Mr. Chidambaram in Parliament said he is against caste census, but today Mr. Gandhi is saying caste census for him is a philosophy, it's a commitment, etc. Now, where are we? Even if you see, many of his earlier statements have been totally turned upside down. So, where is the consistency messaging? If people call BJP communal, BJP majoritarian, at least right or wrong, there is a consistency in that. They haven't said yesterday something else and today they are saying Ram Mandir. If they have spoken of Ram Mandir 10 years ago, 30 years ago, they are sticking to that. But where is the consistency out here? And you're trying to, as I said, do by default. You are actually letting down some of your allies. I'm not too sure what is the view of Trinamool and others. Now, if I have to vote Trinamool, I will keep in mind Trinamool is not going to form the government. The leading party, if India Alliance wins, it is going to be Congress. And the way Congress speaks, the way Rahul Gandhi speaks, is very clearly that they are the ones who are going to call the shots. So if I'm voting indirectly for a Trinamool, and by which I'm, making Congress powerful, I would worry.
Sanjay, let me come to come to you with that. In this day and age, you know, this kind of left-leaning vision, which the Congress party seems to be developing, there is the wealth redistribution, there's caste census, all of this. Are we not? Is the party not alienating voters? And I'm just talking. I'm not talking about academic decisions. I'm talking about things that are very categorically being talked about by the party leader Rahul Gandhi.
Aditi, I think I would just request that we don't indulge in very long monologues here. I expect a conversation, but I will try and answer you
Do
shorter
button
than
whenever you feel that
Sandeep. Sandeep, I think unfortunately gets into a rant. I don't know why, but anyway, let me try and keep my answer briefer. And so here is the truth, right? Narendra Modi is India's prime minister. He lies to the people of this country. He actually lies to the people or women of this country, talking about that the Congress will take your land and your Mangal Sutra. Amit Shah adds to the lies by saying they will, take away monies from the temples and the monasteries and give it to the Muslims. Yogi Adityanath talks about Sharia law. There is something wrong with the BJP. Now, don't interrupt me, Aditi. Come on, please don't
Go on.
interrupt me. Now,
Okay.
here is my point. There is something fundamentally, I think I think the level of panic within the BJP is palpable. And I know it has got to do with the first phase of voting. I also know that the Congress is doing an outstanding campaign of taking its promises on everything in its manifesto down to the people of India. Now, if you look at it, what are the symptoms? Can you imagine a prime minister who, after 10 years in power, has not said a word on what has he done for the people of India? Nothing. That is not even the narrative of this government. Their entire campaign is based on, what is the Congress manifesto all about? I don't want to respond to everything Sandeep said because I don't think it deserves to be responded in detail. He made some comment about Jairam Ramesh not having electoral clout, as if Nirmala Sitaraman has one. In fact, she's chickened out of fighting a Lok Sabha election. Let's not get petty here, Sandeep. Let's elevate our conversation a little bit. And here I will give you data because I'm, by the way, a student of economics. Okay. In the last 10 years, real wages of the poor, the agriculture labor, the construction labor has been stagnant or negative. And are you and I going to sit here and say that is cool? It's not cool. And that's the reason why the BJP is going to lose this election. Because 83% of India's young are unemployed. Out of the graduates below 25 years, 42% are unemployed. This government has destroyed the demographic dividend of this country. The farmers are protesting for a reason. They are completely devastated. Small businesses are struggling. You know who has grown? Who has grown is a handful of the oligarchs, the Putin model or the South Korean model, if you want to be charitable towards Modi. These are the guys who have grown. I mean, at this point of time, you are seeing a situation in this country, and I would like Sandeep to stop thinking that that people, even in the middle class, are pauperized. Post pandemic, people in the middle class, neo middle class, farmers, poor, labor have been devastated. Many have not even fully recovered yet. So, the situation of inequality is what is going to defeat this government. Now, here is the answer. Here is the answer. Okay. India producing 100, 200 billionaires is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a sign of growth. But if you are going to start creating an income polarization where the poor's growth is limited, the farmers are struggling, the youth don't have a job, women are hardly there in the labor force, what are you going to create an India story on? And Sandeep is completely wrong if he says that India's economy has grown under Modi. It hasn't. It's at 5.9%, my dear friend. In the last 5 years, India's GDP has grown by 4%. What
Yes,
growth have you
I'm
talked
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said that people are giving very long answers, pointing to him. Yours, that's why I gave you fair time. Yours was long enough. Let me bring in Sandeep at this point, and let me also tell you, Sanjay. And Sanjay and I, Sandeep, just for emphasis, have had this conversation before, where he's talked about the low GDP numbers. But India, unfortunately, is still better off than the rest of the world because there was a pandemic in between. I just want to qualify that,
It is
but.
not.
Please, but I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm just rattling off figures from other, World Bank institutions, etc., etc., talking about the Indian economy in the recent past. But Sandeep, your last comments, please, because I said that this will be a 30-minute
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
See, I heard Sanjay say a lot of things, and I would like to, I don't want to get into who lies where. Like Rahul Gandhi says, Modi talks of one religion, one language, whereas I have not heard him say. I suppose nowadays we listen to what we want to listen. I hear, in fact, I feel Modi has become to some extent boring in his speeches because he keeps rattling all the things that his government has done for the poor and the others. I attended a couple of your media conclaves where he rattled off all the things which is done. So he does talk about it, but it depends on what we want to hear or not. About the problem of unemployment, problem of COVID, post-COVID recovery, small businesses, agricultural farmers, etc. I was personally surprised with the results of UP elections, which was soon on the heels of the COVID thing. I would have been surprised by what happened in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan just now, if all these were issues, and therefore for us to believe that there will be certain, suddenly a realization in 4 months that all these are real things, and people didn't realize 2 months ago or 4 months ago. That's a matter. I always take Sanjay's projections very seriously. He projected in 2019 about Congress sweeping. Before that, in also in 2014. I hope this time around he's correct. And of course, farmers of one particular state to one and a half states protested, and we know the reasons why they protested and why and how they protested. As you said, they did for a reason, and the reasons are becoming very, very obvious. And to those who understand and those who would like to see. Similarly, a lot of these comments, but ultimately, as you said, come June 4th, we know the answer.
Yep. Yep. Why don't we wait till June 4th? Yeah.
Yes,
No
we will.
crystal ball gazing. Yeah.
As 2nd June before that, the state's results come in on the 2nd of June. So 2nd of June and 4th of June is what we will be eagerly awaiting. We'll see. Because as of today, it seems like this whole wealth redistribution, as well as this inheritance tax new row that has been now stoked by Sam Pitroda, is going to become or turn into an election issue. But the elections are so long drawn. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? But looking forward to seeing this dance of democracy progress as we go on. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for watching this broadcast. We'll come back to you shortly. Stay tuned to Times of India.